Should your house be in the holiday spirit?
Do I decorate or do I not?
How to stage your house, marketability.
And that's why a lot of people, when they try to sell their house, they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. And you can feel the FISBO, man.
They tell me they didn't want to put an offer. It's like, why?
Then he says, well, you have to come out back. And I was like, oh, for God's sake.
That's incredible.
But my people did not find it to be incredible. They found it to be creepy. This is a good conversation to have both for realtors and for consumers.
There's a difference between it smelling like you're trying to hide something and actually smelling inviting.
If it smells too good to be true, a lot of times it is. Can you sell your house over the holidays? Yes. Who did you call?
Ghostbusters.
Your trusty realtor. All right, welcome back to Millennia Up.
Welcome back to Millennia Up.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about if your house should be in the holiday spirit. But if anybody's watching the video on YouTube and you're wondering why everything looks different, and this is not our Trailside Bliss location.
That's right.
We're not there. We're not going to be there for the next few episodes. So that got rented out. Did we ever talk about where we record?
I think we talked about being in an Airbnb, but I don't think we actually talked about the setup. We actually handle Airbnb management through another company. We have our location with the brick and everything like that is usually available, but someone came in, I think they rented it for 35 days all the way through the new year. So
I mean, good for them. I mean, it's up to be able to rent.
So we are actually at my personal home, and I don't know.
I kind of like it. Coffee here.
Yeah, you get coffee with a Santa mug. I actually kind of like the location better because I don't have to drive anywhere.
That's nice. My 45-minute drive is nothing.
That's fine. You're a realtor. You live in your car.
Yes.
It's just another appointment. But the thing I like about this too is that as long as the bank doesn't come and take my house, I know I'll always have a place to podcast.
True. So in our new location to possibly permanently, we're talking about should your house be in the holiday spirit? Meaning when you're listing your house in, like November, December, should you be putting up Christmas decorations or Hanukkah decorations, whatever it is that you celebrate, and some pros and cons to that. So
yeah, and I think we're also going to talk a little bit about the just staging and getting your house. It's a good time to talk about that. There's a lot of people who are getting involved with their realtors, getting ready, deciding on when to sell. But there are certain people out there who have to sell during the holidays. And I've had many listings during the holidays, and that's usually a question that comes up. Do I decorate or do I not? Would you take us through the first couple points?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually kind of what sparked this is conversation that we had at the listing appointment, because we knew we were going to be listing in December. And it was like that weekend, and we kind of did this very quickly because the scenario that we had is we were getting ready to plan for the next coming months instead of a timeline that way. But then they did see a house. They're moving to Jersey. They found a house they really liked and they got it. And they said, if this is the house that we get, then we need to list now for confidentiality. We'll call them Monte Carlo and Donna.
Jesus. Okay.
The most millennial names that we have.
Yes.
They asked, do we decorate room for Christmas? It was very last minute. I said, I would probably keep it to a minimum, but we'll get more into how to stage your house, marketability, and then kind of pros and cons to both of those and which one we should lean towards. So first, going to start with what makes for a good showing experience for the buyer that's coming through your house. Yeah. Typically, you want to make sure it's clean, free of smelly smells, full of good smelly smells, depersonalized. So taking down anything that has your family up. People want to see their own families in that house.
You believe that?
For the most part.
I don't. I think it's listen, I've gone into houses where there's walls of, you can't even see the color of the paint because there's so many damn pictures up. That's
kind of what I'm talking about. And you have a really adorable, wedding photo that's on a wall. All right, sure, keep it. But I mean, you've got your kids' third grade schoolwork that's up and stuff like that.
I think that there's a curiosity with buyers who want to know who the seller is. And if you give them a little peek into who they are, I think it actually makes it a little more welcoming. At my old brokerage, I used to argue with people about it because there were a lot of older agents who had been in the business for a very long time. And the standard practice was just take all the pictures out and completely neutralize it because they felt it would be less welcoming because the family was kind of intruding on their vision of their family being in it. I think it adds a little bit of personality. I think it falls in the same bucket as why a lot of buyers agents send buyer letters. It adds a humanity to the transaction. But yeah, I've been in listings and houses where they're what do you think? There's little frames that are stuck to the wall with those commando strips. And I'm like, yeah, you gotta get rid of.
I'd
all
rather
this.
have a picture in a frame than nothing in a frame, which
Yeah.
I've also seen before.
Yeah, because
I'm
it'll
like,
feel.
well,
I think in some architecture, some instances, it will feel like a model home. It'll feel stale. It'll feel like neutralized, and I think that
you can
sometimes
still bring your personality into a home without having everything plastered on it. If I was listing my house, I don't know how I feel about, because my house is plastered with pictures of Jackson.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I'd want to have people walking around. I get really weirded out by that. That's why my personal
and that's
personal
totally
and-
fine. That's totally fine.
But is there anything to argue to say that could border on the line of fair housing violations and
It
picking
might.
or not picking because of any race or religion or the other protected classes?
It could, and I would anyone who's listening to this with a real estate license, they should talk to their broker. A disclaimer, but it's very hard to prove. I think it's you make up more ground with the marketability of the property.
Yeah.
In the aggregate, I think it's a better way to do business. But I'm sure there'll be
It's
realtors
just
out
me
there
playing
who
devil's
argue with
advocate
this.
too, and there's always
Yeah.
going to be that one person might get like butthurt about something.
Yeah.
And be like, well, they only bop bop bop, and then throw some kind of a like protected class card, and
Yeah,
then all of a sudden
and
it's like,
it could. I mean, it definitely could. Anyone could sue for anything in this country, which is what makes it kind of great and not great at
which
the same
makes us the
time.
free land.
Yeah, it makes us free, but not free at the same time. So what's
I think we can agree on at least keeping a neutral tone, something to
Yeah.
please the masses.
tone it down, which
Yeah.
is going to be the theme when we talk about holiday decorations. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's kind of what the conclusion that I came to. In an ideal world, yeah, that's what it's going to be, is keep it, minimal, eliminate big chunky furniture, maximize your space to be able to show the space that you have, but also how it can work.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's easy to do. Sometimes it's not so much. And then, like I said, make it smell good and make it inviting when people come in. Keep it at a comfortable temperature. Like, I understand that sometimes you might not be living there at the
Mhm.
time. And that's so great for you. Love that for you. Makes it a lot easier for your showings too.
Yeah.
Is that not having to interrupt your life so much, but I understand people will be coming through and, take that Pico or electric bill for the month and still keep it like comfortable.
It's
I
part.
say my best temperature is like a 67 to 68 degrees.
It's part of the marketing. It's the temperature,
Mhm.
the way the place presents, the way it smelled, the way the place looks outside. It's all a mix, and that's why a lot of people, when they try to sell their house, they have absolutely no idea what they're doing, and you can feel what they call a FSBO, which is for sale by owner. You can feel the FSBO, man, when you walk into some of these houses. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's like nobody has really taken a lot of thought. And keep in mind that listing agent, when they walk into that house, they also probably work with buyers. So they know what buyers are looking for. And certainly presenting the house in a positive light, especially right now where the market is a little bit slower, there's less buyers out there. You really got to put your best foot forward.
Yeah. And also just to the, finding that balance between making it homey, but also not too personal to yourself. I had clients, we were going around a house that we saw a beautiful home. Like, I was shocked when they said they did not want to submit an offer. It was really well priced, completely within their budget, would not have had to do a single thing. The owner was actually there for it, which I don't always like, except he was super funny, super nice. I had lived there with his wife, like the whole marriage of some like 50, 60 years, really wholesome. And so when I was like, this is the home run, and we were great with him. And I was like, now when this comes across, you pick our offer.
Yeah.
And I had good rapport with the listing agent. And I was like, oh man, we might get this one in the bag. They told me they didn't want to put an offer. I was like, why? And they said they felt like they would just be moving into somebody else's house.
Okay. Well, that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Speaking of owners being present, I had an owner present and he immediately stormed the door. He was very nice. Single guy, had lived by himself for 20 years in the same house. And we felt that when we walked in because there was nothing. It was original construction. He had built the house through Toll Brothers. And he had not done a thing to the house. I mean, almost literally had not done a thing to the house.
It's amazing how complacent some people can get. I can fall into this sometimes too, but
no, it gets much better. So then he told us about how he knew Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and he was out in California back in the 80s and 90s. And he went on and on and on. And my people were very kind of cautious. They were very hesitant home buyers. I took a lot of time with them. I looked with houses with them for almost a year and a half, which is like kind of unheard of in the last few years. And Then he says, well, you have to come out back. And I was like, oh for God's sake.
Oh my God, the dude that was present for my showing said the same thing too.
You got to go back. And I'm like, you go first, sir. You know, like I'm like, I have no idea what I'm walking into.
The slaughter.
Although, come out to the slaughter. But although we were in like a very dense like community, it was actually at Rivercrest. And
they'll never expect it.
He's like, just give me one moment. He goes into his pantry and he takes out a bunch of cookies. And I'm like, what are we doing? Fox. There was a fox den in his backyard. Fox.
Enunciate
that. Excuse my language. Don't bleep that out. That's not supposed to be. There was a fox den in the back, and he starts feeding the.
That's incredible.
But my people did not find it to be incredible. They found it to be creepy, and they're like, well, wait. I have a son who's very small, and all she's thinking is that a fox is going to come like grab him by the ankle and drag him into the woods. Again, my people were a little more cautious. Listen, sometimes it can be awesome. If an owner is there, I usually recommend them not being there. I'm all for the warm and squishy goodness of a seller making it feel homey, but a lot of times there's a limit and the buyer wants to feel like they have the ability to explore that property because it is a big decision.
I have a strong stance on owners being in the home, and I don't like it.
You don't like it? Okay. Well, that's fair.
Feel very uncomfortable. I feel like I'm tiptoeing. You shouldn't really like openly discuss too many like details as far as like your offers and whatever. Yep. And when you are going through a house, this is kind of getting off topic, but still important. When you are going through a house as a buyer, even always assume you're being recorded.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know, like there's like cat cams or dog cams and baby cams. And some people do have security cams inside. It's supposed to be disclosed if they know that they do, but they don't always. And you don't want to kind of like show your entire hand while you're in there or say anything that would make them kind of be like, "Ooh, I didn't like those people."
In the past few years, the other are the people who stay. They're not there to greet anybody. They're working from home, and they're like in one of the bedrooms, and like you have to like kind of peek in and like see the room, and they're like they've got like their headset on, and they're like, it's just very unwelcoming. Yeah. So listen, if you're going to sell your house and you work from home, that's something to consider. It's definitely doable, but it's something that where, maybe you want to schedule showings at a certain time and you want to go like, take calls at a Starbucks for like a block of time. But let's talk about the holiday thing, because I think that's really what people are looking to learn about. What is your stance on holiday decorations, flat out?
It was originally, if there's a way for you to not, then don't. But at the same time, there's kids that get excited about like having it out, and it is part of the season. I think that it takes a workaround.
Okay.
What's your initial stance?
Mine is absolutely, but minimized. So
I'm pretty much there.
I think it's nice to do. I think it makes it feel homey.
A tree.
No, listen, if you're outright selling from Thanksgiving to Christmas and you have a tree, I don't think you're going to lose any ground. It's because it's like anything else with buyers. If it's confusing, it doesn't feel safe. If it makes sense, same thing with like stuff. Like if you have all your stuff piled up in your dining room table, buyers are going to come and say, well, what is going on?
Like, do they not have enough storage?
Do they not have enough storage, or like, are they moving out?
It's like when I said there's a pod in the driveway and you're like, that makes sense. They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving,
People will be excited. That's like, cool, they're getting out. We can go in.
And so a Christmas tree makes sense, So I'm okay with it. But when it becomes like this overbearing, like they're trying to make this massive statement. The other thing is too, is what we're going to talk about is the pictures.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
So there's also marketability, and it could work in your favor for marketability in this time. But then come January, you're already dating your listing.
Yeah.
Or say something happens where like maybe you have a life event and you have to take it off market for like a short period of time or something. And then you can go back on market, but then you have dated Christmas pictures in March.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a consideration.
There's a workaround. So, as far as like the marketability for it, it's kind of like snow too. So, if you are planning in advance enough of like knowing you're going to be listing your house like within the year or by the end of the year, maybe you get ahead of things and you're going to sell it, hire a photographer and get your picture, like stage your house and get your pictures done way in advance, like way before you even start decorating. And then you can get your pictures done. Get it done, put your tree up, put your decorations up, and then that way you still have like green grass outside, bloomed trees, like your house better than anybody else. When it shows the best.
Since we're doing this whole devil's advocate thing.
What?
Don't get lippy. What's your thought on taking pictures in the summer and listing like late fall? Because people do that, but does it wouldn't that date the house too? It's like this house that's got this beautiful, greenery and everything like that, but then can look dated if it's gonna look, it can look out of place.
I don't think that at all.
You don't think that at all? Okay.
No, because you're just showing it at its best. Now, if you're listing it around the fall and you know that you have a tree up front that turns red, it's absolutely beautiful. Actually, I don't even know if I agree with this either, because I think fall colors could date it too. Probably not enough, because by the time it would be dated, it would be like the
so
next
I think
summer,
greenery. I don't disagree with you. I think greenery is good.
You're just trying to be a dick and trying to just.
You're just trying to be argument. You're just trying to be you. No, I'm asking the question because I think it's a good one. I've had instances where they've at least asked me to come take pictures of the outside. First of all, people want to get it out of the way when the house looks really great, and then they prepare the inside. Prepare. But no, I think it's a good question to ask.
It's also something I think is overlooked too.
Well, I think also it's a mental block. It's another one of those things that I can't sell over the holidays. I can't do this during the holidays because I've got all my decorations up. I don't want to offend anybody. It's not going to look great. And there are workarounds. Again, if it's going to make sense. Like if you have a menorah out, like it makes sense during Hanukkah. Like it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think it's as much of a problem with showings. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's more so the marketability and it all depends on your specific situations. So like Monte Carlo and Donna, they knew.
I need to be consulted before you come up with these fake names.
You were. We have if you don't see what I'm pointing at, I have my laptop sitting right here. We literally have a collaboration sheet that is in a shared drive that you have full access to at all times.
You spelled Monty like Monty Python or Monty.
I know.
Not Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo is not spelled that way, right?
It is now.
It is now.
Doesn't matter. It's a name. I'm using.
Let's make it a rule. An Usky rule. Got it.
It's whatever I make it.
So Monte Carlo and Donna or what?
We had a contract in Jersey with them, and I already had like set deadlines or dates that I had to adhere by to like get under contract by and settle by and whatever. So in this specific instance, it didn't really matter if there were decorations in listing pictures because I couldn't have it on the market past December 30th.
Sure.
We had to get an offer accepted before then, and it was still within the season. But
I still can't believe you got it a whole month. I mean, for a house like that, it was a lot. Go Tish.
And then go me. We got it under contract in 2 days.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying. I mean, a month. I mean, for that house,
3 days.
3 days. I mean, but a month is a lot of time. I mean,
there's also supposed to be another week until we started showings too, so we still needed to get the house prepared.
Got it.
They were giving us. They knew it wasn't.
They needed to get it prep. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they accepted it, knowing that we still needed to get it ready, get it cleared out, and
get the pod, get it
Pod.
decorated.
I'll tell you what, though, man. Talk about they moved fast.
Yeah.
And that house
motivated.
Turned around and turned out beautiful and super. I mean, it's a beautiful house anyway, but it had a really quick turnaround time. They got it done.
Under your guidance, of course. You could take a lap.
Yes.
You could take a victory lap.
I appreciate that. Yes, yeah. I gave the guidance, but I will never discredit sellers putting in the heavy lifting to actually
I know. It's
the house
not,
prepared,
not
and they
easy.
did a great job doing that.
Even if you keep a good home, like there's still stuff that you should do, and we'll talk about that in a different pocket, and we'll go through a checklist of how to like truly get everything ready. I think that this is a good conversation to have. I think both for realtors and for consumers. I think that probably a lot of our clients aren't thinking about that as much. There are certainly houses I walk into, and it's like, good Lord, it looks like a Christmas shop, but
house.
That's your house. Yeah, I know.
I have lit up garland on every door frame.
Yeah. And we've had some Zoom calls where I'm like, yeah, it looks like
do you like it?
Yeah. It looks like Santa's workshop back over there.
And then it looks naked and bare come like January.
But I think it's also good for realtors because I think that sometimes they go back and forth about like, hey, like, can we do this or can we do that? And it definitely can be done. And I think that it shouldn't stop anyone from selling.
I think right now it's not as much of a issue because of how quickly things are selling in the market. And it's not like things are going to be dragging out. If you're listing in the beginning of December, chances are like you're going to be under contract by the end of December at least.
Yeah.
So long as you don't have any problems with your listing forever being on the internet and having it be, holiday themed, then whatever.
I also think it is a good strategic time to perhaps get something out in front because there's still a lot of demand out there. I think it's a good strategic time to get your house up on the market and kind of sneak in before the spring market. I think you can do it now, it's December, or you can do it in January. But, I had this conversation with somebody and he's like, well, what do you think? I said, well, your house is going to sell. There's still, and he's in a desirable area. I said, you can be sitting side by side with a bunch of other people, or, you can be the thing that pops into the portal.
Object,
the one thing that pops into the portal and, and
there
you get
aren't
people.
many right now.
There are not. And it's a very, very tight market here in December in Philadelphia. But you know what? I just think not enough people have called Jenn a Nusky. Not enough people have gotten your wizardry in listing homes during the holidays. And I think that's really the problem. You should call the National Association of Realtors and call it the Nusky effect is taking over in Philly.
Gosh, geez, my head. I don't know if it's gonna be able to fit in this room. Well, also, I don't think there's any time to not sell your house. You're on your own timeline.
Yeah.
If you have flexibility to kind of wait, you figure out what time is going to be the best for you after you consult with your agent. You make it work. Every situation is different. Every experience needs to be customized to what needs to work best for you and also appeal to the masses to increase your chances of getting what you need.
I would agree.
And then there's ways. So go back to even how you show your house. So, part of making it warm and inviting is also through your senses and what you can smell.
Oh, man. You remember Ned and Eleanor, you remember how I said when I walked in there and I told it was the first thing I said, I was a lot of air fresheners. I said, there's a lot of air fresheners in this house.
There's a difference between it smelling like you're trying to hide something and actually smelling inviting. And
so I think they had a couple of dogs in there and that was what they were trying to hide, but we could still smell it.
Yeah.
But that is something where if it smells too good to be true, a lot of times it is.
I don't think that even categorizes too good to be true. I think it's categorizes as, what are you hiding?
Well, no, that's what I mean. So you walk in and I think on that first floor, you were in that house. I think I counted 7 air fresheners and it was not a big house. It was probably, the first floor was probably about 800 square feet.
I'm talking about, it's holiday. Make your house smell like grandma just made some cookies.
Oh, you're talking about Christmas pine, Fraser fir,
wax warmers, and there's that whole. I am no Martha Stewart by any stretch of the imagination.
Sounds like you got some game.
I'm talking about the people who some concoction potion of orange peels on the stove or in the oven, and apples and
baking in the oven.
Something or other. Yeah. I don't know. That's a little more outside of my. That's me trying to keep a plan alive. Don't leave me responsible.
You could keep this alive. Although we have killed this cactus.
This was a present.
My wife and I, we've killed it.
Short tangent. So Seth just had his appendix removed as an emergency surgery and just didn't tell anybody and was like, oh, it's no big deal. Be back. And was talking to us while he was in the hospital. Yeah. And we were like, oh, cool. Your appendix almost just blew up and killed you. All right. Casual. So me and 2 other people on our team, I said, well, instead of flowers, let's get him a cactus. And then wrote him a card that said, here's a cactus. This is hard to kill too.
Yeah. Glad you didn't die. That's what you guys told. That's what you guys said.
Glad you didn't die. And this is hard to kill too.
That was very touching. I was very touched by that. I literally laughed out loud when I got that. It was great.
So feel free to put a cactus out for decoration as well. Greenery is good. Good smelly candles.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not candles. Don't burn your house down. Good when you're not in the house, but wax melts, but make it smell like the holiday season. People love smelling that. I'm more of a fresh balsam kind of gal myself.
Yeah. So I'm not a candle person. I'm not a smelly smell person. I'm not trying to create Santa's workshop. I just want to create a little bit of fanfare around Christmas, but not make it an overwhelming. Well, you're giving me a look like I'm freaking crazy.
You don't like the smell of candles. You don't like the
smell
of the holiday season. Scrooge. Drinking out of a freaking Santa mug. You need to get that revoked.
It's so funny because that's exactly what my wife says. I'm a Scrooge.
I love me a good candle or a good wax warmer.
No, I feel like you run the risk of a Seth coming through the door and be like, what are they covering up?
When we were out last Saturday and there was that house, that split level.
Yeah, that didn't smell. No.
I thought I walked in. Okay.
No, it smelled fine. No, it smelled fine where I didn't notice it. And that's good. It didn't smell one way or the other.
No, I walked in and I said, oh, I guess it's one of those, oh, this shows well.
I didn't get a Christmas spirit out of that place.
I didn't say it was a Christmas spirit. I said just a nice aroma when you
Well, that's fine. That's universal. That's 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I'm saying the Fraser fir candle that's just keeps burning and burning in the house all day for showings. It sometimes can be what are they hiding? You like look at the candle, then you look at the dog crate in the corner, and I'm like, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. That's all I'm saying. I think it's
I love me a good few candles. I would have red flags if there's like Febreze plugins like all over the place and whatnot. But okay, so that's where Seth and Jenn stand on a difference of.
That's fine. That's what this is all about. We talk through our problems here. We talk through our issues. I'm gonna
get you a candle for Christmas, and
you get me a candle, and it's gonna be candle. You get me. I got Christmas candles in the next room.
It'll be like Santa's fart candle.
That's right. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We've covered this pretty well. What's that?
So, what do people do? I think we didn't even answer the question that we were even talking about. Is can you decorate your house for the holidays when you're listing? I think, in short, it's yes, you can. All depends on what you want it to look like in the long term, and if it's going to carry over into the next season. So if you think it's going to carry over into the spring or even just like late winter, get pictures before you decorate. Yeah. Then put your decorations up, show it with them. But yes, keep it minimal. So like I went in the house, there are decorations up. Just take some of them down. Anything that's too loud and distracting. like a candle? In what world does a candle scream loud and distracting? I mean, like a giant like Christmas decoration. Yeah,
you mean like a singing Santa?
Maybe take down Jack Skellington in a Santa hat off of your front lawn. Anything that's just like kind of like big and chunky.
What about like a big wreath across the garage door?
Do you just want to go down an entire laundry list of like every single decoration that you could ever possibly have?
I'm asking because people like that to put that on the outside of the house. I mean, is it
you said a wreath on a garage door?
Yeah, like hanging on the garage. How about over the garage, like the light, like when the gable end? Is
for
that okay?
Showings, I would say sure, why not? For listing photos, I would personally myself go take that down and then go put it back up for you.
Maybe we should have Annie come and like ask us questions and we go like yay or nay. Certain things.
Fine, done. Do it because apparently we have very different opinions on this.
That's right.
But yeah, so yes, you can. I would encourage you to try to get pictures before you put them up if it's inevitable. No problem. You still can. Just keep it to a minimum. Put your tree up, make it cute. That's my take on it. Yeah,
I agree. Listen, the way I'd make 2 points. Can you sell your house over the holidays? Yes.
Yeah.
And who should you call?
Ghostbusters.
Your trusty realtor.
Yes.
To walk you through and talk you through the pros and cons and come out.
There is a strategy to it. You do need to come up with one.
It's doable, just like anything else.
Timing is important too, as far as just kind of like when do you put it on, schedules of others, you know. Like anything else, if everybody could do it, everybody would.
That's right.
But we do it correctly and the right way.
Yeah. And also, I just want to take a sidebar and thank everyone for the support. We have gotten so much good feedback about this. I think we're on a roll here.
Yeah.
And we're getting lots of suggestions for episodes. We've had some people who wanted to come on. We've had a lot of people rate and subscribe.
Keep reading, keep subscribing, and keep reviewing.
And we have made some friends on Instagram. People have DM'd us and said, hey.
From other states.
And said, like, where has this been my entire life?
So YouTube analytics is great, by the way.
Yeah.
The other ones are pretty vague. Like, thank you. Keep listening on like Apple's podcast. It doesn't have as much like broken down analytics as the YouTube one does, and I get very like analytically focused.
Yes,
and I love those kinds of things and going through it. And we're different countries.
Yeah, it makes sense when you look at the analytics why they ask you all those questions when you sign up for an account, because it's not.
Now I'm not really against it because I really like knowing these things.
Yeah.
Thanks for a very male dominant viewing audience. Too, which is shocking.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the momentum's good. We're gonna charge through and bust into 2024. And we got all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. And
I also want to say, thanks for hanging with us through the learning curve. Both of us are learning as we go. This is
not our full-time job.
No, it's not. we have made this a second full-time job. Like we now have like multiple full-time jobs. Appreciate you hanging in there. And we're only going to get better.
And if anybody has anything they want to say to us, you can go to @Millennia Podcast on Instagram. And that's where surprisingly most people are communicating with us. And it's great. And we both monitor it all day because that's basically we live on social media with our friends and family. And so anything you guys want us to talk about, or if you just want to ask us an individual question, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Go team. Bye.